$3,938.58. That is what a 100% presumptive burn pit claim pays a veteran every single month in 2026. And the registry that everyone tells you to sign up for? It pays you exactly zero. And there is one move the VA never tells you to make first that can lock thousands of dollars of back pay in place before you have gathered a single record. Stay with me because that move takes about 5 minutes.
I'm Alina, and here's the worst-case version I keep seeing. This is what they were exposed to: an open burn pit on a forward base, jet fuel poured over the trash and lit. A veteran joins the registry for it, feels like they did the paperwork, then waits. It does not pay a dime.
Today we go one level deeper than the general PACT Act explainer. We are killing one specific myth that costs real money, the idea that joining the registry is the same as filing a claim.
Hi all, Emma here. Let me be precise about the two things people blur together. 1. The registry, a research database for tracking your health over time. 2. A disability claim, the legal application that actually triggers a monthly check.
Fenrir here, and I want to attack the premise everyone accepts. People assume the government quietly connects the dots for you. It does not. The registry team and the claims team do not hand your name to each other.
And that gap is exactly where the back pay quietly bleeds out year after year.
Right. Signing the registry is not a secret application working in the background. Nobody at the VA reads your registry entry and starts a payment. It just sits there as a health record, doing nothing for your bank account.
So the money lives in the claim, and the claim is a separate move. That is the whole episode in one sentence. Everything after this is how to actually do it, step by step. Before we go deeper, Emma, there is a question that shows up under almost every burn pit video. Hand it to the room.
Yes, and it is the exact confusion we are fixing. The question is, I already signed up for the burn pit registry, so why was I never paid anything for it?
That is exactly the knot we are untying today. We will show you what the registry really is, the one form that pays, the exact box that unlocks the fast lane, and the timing move that protects your back pay. The piece nobody warns you about is the last one.
Let me show you what the registry actually is, because the picture matters here. To understand it, you have to start with the place these conditions came from in the first place.
This is the thing that broke so many lungs. Those pits ran on bases across the Gulf, with the trash, tires, plastics, medical waste, and electronics all burning together day and night.
The worst documented one sat right here, at Joint Base Balad in Iraq. It grew to almost 20 acres and burned around 200 tons of waste a day. Troops worked downwind of that plume for a year at a time.
So in 2014, Congress directed the VA to build a registry. Its purpose is research. It tracks the health of exposed veterans over time so the science can advance and care can improve. That is its entire job.
And in August of 2024, they redesigned it. They threw out a brutal 144-question survey, and now the VA auto-includes eligible veterans straight from Defense Department records. So if you served in those places, you are very likely already on this registry without lifting a finger. And that is exactly where the confusion starts, because being on it feels like progress.
Let me put the two things side by side so the difference is impossible to miss. On one side, the registry. On the other, the disability claim. The registry tracks your health, it is optional, it needs no diagnosis to join, and it pays you exactly nothing. The claim is the legal application, it requires a diagnosis and your service, and it is the only one of the two that triggers a monthly check.
Here is the stress test that breaks the myth. Run two veterans side by side, where one joins the registry and one never does. Their monthly compensation comes out identical, because the registry never touched it. Both are still sitting at zero until they file.
Which means the honest read is blunt. The registry is good for the research and good for your own health record. It is not and was never the thing that pays you. Joining it or skipping it leaves your wallet in exactly the same place. So please do not let being on the registry lull you into thinking the hard part is done.
So if the registry is just the research file, where does the actual money live? That is the PACT Act, and that is exactly where we are headed next.
Quick, honest ask while we are here. If this has been worth your time so far, hit like, then subscribe and ring the bell. I know everyone asks, but this one is free, and it is how a small channel like this actually grows.
Let me bring two of you in around the table for this one, because the PACT Act is really two systems that people keep confusing. Elena, Fenrir, let us lay the law next to the database and see where the money actually is. Start with what the PACT Act even is. The full name is the Sergeant First Class Heath Robinson, honoring our promise to address Comprehensive Toxics Act. It is the biggest expansion of toxic exposure benefits in decades.
And the part that survives a stress test is the presumptive list. Normally, you have to prove your illness was caused by service. For a presumptive condition, the VA simply presumes that link. You bring a diagnosis and qualifying service, and the heaviest part of the burden of proof falls away.
Let me push on that because it sounds too good. What is the catch? The catch is that the list is specific. Certain cancers, asthma, chronic bronchitis, COPD, and a long roster the VA keeps expanding. If your condition is on that list and you served in a covered place, you skip the single hardest fight in the whole claims process.
Good push. And here's the part that genuinely changes the math. For a presumptive claim, you do not need a nexus letter, the separate medical opinion tying your illness to service. Diagnosis plus qualifying service is the engine.
But run the failure case, because this is where people lose. The PACT Act also forces a toxic exposure screening for every enrolled veteran, repeated at least once every 5 years. And people walk out of that screening genuinely believing it was their claim. It was not. It is a conversation with a clinician, not an application for money. Nothing about that screening starts a payment.
So the screening joins the registry on the exact same shelf. Both are health touchpoints. Neither one is the thing that pays. I will concede the whole point. The law is genuinely generous, but only if you actually file the claim.
So here is where the table lands. The PACT Act hands you a faster, lighter path to a yes. The registry and the screening get you in the door, but the check only ever starts when you file the actual claim. That is the synthesis the three of us land on. Which brings us straight to the one form that does it.
All right, the money lives in one form, so let me put it on the table and walk you through the two boxes that matter most. This is the document that turns exposure into a check. The form is VA Form 21526EZ, the application for disability compensation and related compensation benefits. The current revision is dated January 2026. This single form is what actually starts your claim.
And two boxes on it do most of the work. Emma, walk us through them.
Look at item 15 first. It asks, are you claiming any conditions related to toxic exposures? For a burn pit claim, you check yes. That one box routes your application into the PACT Act presumptive lane.
So that tiny box is the whole game. Check it.
Now drop down to item 16. This is where you list every current disability or symptom you are claiming. Name each diagnosed condition plainly. Things like asthma, chronic bronchitis, or the specific cancer. One clear line per condition.
Here is the mistake that quietly gets people. They list the conditions in item 16, but they leave item 15 a blank. Now, nothing on the form connects those conditions to toxic exposure. So your claim suddenly looks like a generic prove-it-yourself claim, and you can lose the presumptive shortcut you were actually owed. One unchecked box, and you are back in the hardest version of the fight.
And here's the part that makes presumptive claims so much lighter than a normal one. You do not have to prove the burn pit caused your asthma. You only have to prove two simpler things.
Exactly two. 1. A current diagnosis from a doctor of a condition on the presumptive list. 2. Evidence you served in a covered location, which your service records already show. That is the whole evidence picture, with no expensive nexus letter and no fighting a doctor for an opinion.
And you have 3 honest ways to file it. online at va.gov, by mail to the intake center, or sitting down with an accredited veteran service officer who helps you completely for free. There is no good reason to pay someone up front just to start this.
One more precise tip on speed. If you gather your evidence first and submit it all together, that is called a fully developed claim. It generally moves through the system faster than waiting for the VA to chase down your records for you.
Fenrir, you have had a question sitting on your face this whole segment. Go ahead and ask it.
Yes, and it is the one a lot of viewers are stuck on. What if my exact condition is not on the presumptive list?
Then you can still file. You simply file it as a regular direct claim and provide the evidence linking it to service. The presumptive list is the fast lane, not the only road. So a condition that is not listed is not a closed door.
So the form itself is simple. But timing is where the real dollars are quietly won or lost. Alina, set up why the date matters so much. This next part is where I see the most money slip away, and it is all about a single date. So I called in someone who works these toxic exposure claims all day and knows the timing cold. The question under every comment section is the same. If I file now versus next year, does it really change the money? Let me put that to our guest on the line.
Happy to be on. And yes, it changes the money enormously because of one phrase. Your effective date is the date your benefits are calculated back to.
And what sets that date?
It is set by when you first put the VA on notice. The earlier that date, the more back pay you keep.
So how do veterans put the VA on notice the right way?
Here is the liver. You file an intent to file. That single step locks your effective date and gives you up to a full year to finish the rest of the application.
So the notice itself is the thing that protects you, even before the full claim exists.
Precisely, and file online and it is even simpler. The date is set the moment you start the application before you ever hit submit, so the clock starts protecting you right away.
But if I reach 100% eventually anyway, why does the date matter?
Because the rating is paid retroactively all the way back to that date. Picture a 100% presumptive case. Every single month between your locked date and your award is worth $3,938.
So the delay is not free at all. It is a real bill, paid in months you never get back. I concede the point.
Exactly. Wait a year to file, and you can hand back nearly $47,000 in back pay that was already yours. That is a year of payments you simply never got, gone for good.
So the precise instruction is this. File the intent to file the same day you decide to claim. Then take your time gathering the diagnosis and the records inside that 1-year window.
Exactly right. Notice first, perfect later. Veterans lose money by waiting until everything is gathered before they ever tell the VA they intend to file.
That is the part I wish every veteran heard first. Thank you for jumping on the line with us.
Happy to help. My one parting thought, if you do nothing else today, file that intent and protect your date.
Perfect place to leave it. Let me bring it home now with one veteran's story and a clear verdict. Let me make this real with one veteran, then give you the verdict. Meet Marcus, a 51-year-old former Air Force loadmaster who flew cargo out of Ballad and came home with asthma and chronic bronchitis.
Marcus did the thing almost everyone does. He joined the burn pit registry back in 2017, felt like he had handled it, and waited for a letter that was never coming. 8 years and not $1 because he never filed a claim.
And the math on that wait is brutal. His conditions rate at 60%, which pays more than $1,400 a month for a single veteran. 8 years of that is well over $100,000 he can never recover. The earliest date the VA can pay back to is the day he finally files.
Now, who actually qualifies, so nobody guesses? You need a covered service location, places like Iraq, Afghanistan, or the broader Gulf region, plus a diagnosed condition on the presumptive list. Meet both, and the link is presumed for you.
Here is the verdict, And it is not complicated, so do both. The registry is free, it is optional, and it genuinely helps the long-term research and your own health file. Join it, by all means. Just never mistake it for the claim.
And the claim is the part that pays. File VA Form 21526EZ, check Item 15A for toxic exposure, list your conditions in Item 16, and lean on the presumptive list so you skip the nexus fight.
I came in ready to argue there must be a downside to filing. There is not one here. This is a benefit you are owed for what you breathed. The only real risk is the one Marcus took, which is waiting and assuming the system did it for you.
So if you take one single action today, file an intent to file and lock your date. The registry can sit and wait. The clock on your back pay simply cannot.
And if you already signed the registry years ago, like Marcus did, that is not wasted at all. It just means the claim is still sitting there undone. So go file it today.
Walk away with this one rule. The registry tracks your health, but only the claim writes the check, so do both and lock your date today.
Do one thing tonight and future you will keep the money. Open va.gov and start an intent to file. With that single click, you have just locked in your effective date and protected every month of back pay from this day forward.
Every point we hit today is one someone needed this week.
The takeaways above are the ones I would write down.
Next time, wait until you see the one piece of VA math that fools almost everyone. We pull apart how ratings actually combine, because 50 plus 30 does not equal 80, and that quietly costs people.
Quickly before we wrap, a small ask that actually matters. If this earned it, tap like and hit subscribe. Every one of those helps build the series so more people who need this can find it. Failure is data. Collect it honestly. See you next time.
9 out of 10, Elena. The missing point is for making me look too replaceable. This is Professor Erica. Thanks for watching and signing off.